Founded in 1841, there is a lot of history in Dallas, Texas, but probably one of the most well-known and certainly the most traumatic was the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, which is memorialized by this unconventional monument. November 22nd, 1963 was a shocking day, and even though I was very young, I remember my mom crying uncontrollably in anguish. Today, a cenotaph, or open tomb memorial, stands as a symbol of JFK's spirit and a place of reflection and remembrance. Sometimes we need to be reminded of where we came from, and there is a place where the history of the Old West is in its full glory.
Hi folks, welcome to Dallas, Texas. I'm John from Wild Bills.
The rich scent of leather greets you as you enter under the 20-foot Longhorn, and immediately the friendly spirit of the West is evident. Pride in their Texas heritage is on full display with racks and racks and racks of cowboy boots, cowhide accessories, a massive carved wood counter, and over 50 years of tradition in the historic West End. Another Western legend is just a few miles north of downtown. For over 100 years, the Edward H. Bohlin Company has been custom crafting hand-tooled silver belt buckles and accessories and counts some of Hollywood's early stars as their clients: Gene Autry, Clark Gable, John Wayne, Roy Rogers, Hopalong Cassidy, the Lone Ranger, and many more. It has been sold several times in its history and is now in the care of the Marold family, with son Doug acting as vice president.
So you want me to start from the very beginning?
From the very beginning.
Sure, okay. So the Bohlin Company was founded by Edward H. Bohlin. He was a Swedish immigrant who came over here. He was around 13, 14 years old. He was inspired by the Buffalo Bill Cody show, which was a kind of like a Ringling and Barnum circus kind of performance where they would bring in all these animals and all these actors, and they would do trick shooting, and they would have these really dramatic scenes of cowboys rescuing plains people, that sort of thing. And it was really the driving force behind the love affair that the world had with the American cowboy. There was this mystique, this heroism that a cowboy had, and Ed fell in love with that at an early age. And when he was young, he worked his way across Europe, came over here on a freighter, and actually became a working ranch cowboy in Cody, Wyoming. And that was where he worked and learned the trade, but then he was also very crafty. He made his own gear, that sort of thing, and he had this kind of this workmanship, this craftsmanship in his blood. And so he actually opened his first store in 1920 in Cody, Wyoming, and it was more a saddle repair, tack shop, that sort of thing. And that was where he got started. And one of the things that you'll see in his art throughout everything that he's made, it's mainly inspired by the wildlife, the scenes of that kind of Pacific Northwest area, the Rocky Mountain Range. He did a lot of hunting, and so he was really inspired by the wildlife and the scenes there. So you'll see that through a lot of the images, the saddles, all that kind of stuff. And he didn't really make it. There wasn't a lot of business in Cody, Wyoming, and so he decided after his first wife passed away that he was going to move out to California, where he heard a lot of cowboys were getting work as actors and doubles, stuntmen in the movies, because, as I said, that initial love affair that the world had with the cowboy, the American cowboy, was presenting itself in early movies at the time. So the first person who kind of found him and discovered him was Tom Mix. And Tom Mix was the highest paid silver screen cowboy at the time. He was a silent film star. And he was at a vaudeville show, and Ed was doing a performance, and he was on stage. And he came up to him after the show and he said, "Kid, who made your boots and your jacket and your buckle?" And he goes, "Well, I did." And he goes, the legend is that he paid for it right there.
Close
and
up his
took
back.
it. Yeah, exactly. And he gave him the money for a cab ride home. So Tom was the one who really encouraged him. He was like, "Look, you're not going to make it in the movie business. You need to be the saddle maker for the stars." And so there's countless movies that have Bohlin equipment and saddles that are in there. The famous ones are going to be Roy Rogers, stuff for Gene Autry, stuff for Lone Ranger.
Which you have
Yes.
up here on your wall of fame.
So
Roy Rogers,
Roy Rogers
the
here.
Lone Ranger there.
This is actually Ed in front of his store in Cody. So that was
So
an
pre-California
early shot.
days.
Yes. We did stuff for John Wayne. He's wearing a buckle here. That's one of our most famous shapes that he's got on.
Saddle maker to the stars.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, it transcended just the westerns. He did the chariot riggings for Ben-Hur, and that's kind of one of the places that you see just incredible leather work all over that main chariot scene.
And
kind of
that is a
climax of the film.
famous scene, isn't
Yes.
it? Right.
So, so he was kind of active during the Hollywood heyday there, and then kind of when the movies kind of started transitioning out of westerns, that sort of thing. He still did a lot of work for parade saddles. You'll see a lot of the there's like the mounted police in the Rose Parade. They all were required to have Bohlin saddles. That's where you'd see a lot of some of the historic pieces. But Ed passed away in 1980. It changed hands several times. It was sold by his daughter. And we acquired it in 2000, and we've been the owners ever since. So part of what we do, part of what's important to us, is respecting his legacy and making things that he would, that are in his spirit. So whenever we're kind of designing a new piece, or we're incorporating the old dyes, or we're using a historic shape, because I feel that his DNA needs to be in everything that we do.
Right. Well, still has his name
Exactly.
on the company. So.
Exactly. So we still use a lot of the same equipment that he used back in the day. The dyes that he created are the dyes that we use today. And that's part of what's special, is whenever we're making something, in many ways it's like a replica, because it's the same equipment made the same way that he made it. And so if you want a piece that was worn by someone like John Wayne or someone like Roy Rogers, and like I said, in many ways it is a replica. So we use sterling silver and 14 karat gold or above. We use the gold in different ways. We use red, green, and yellow in order to kind of paint pictures. So we'll use higher carats of gold, like 22 karat yellow, to really get different yellows. So it's really an art form, and but we're very fortunate to have the customers that appreciate and support what we do. So and we're very grateful to them.
The backroom workshop is where the magic happens. Bohlin was built on handmade attention to detail, and the processes have not changed in decades. Neither have the machines. They may look old-fashioned, but they were made to last, and they have. Over the years, more and more tool dies have been added to expand the capabilities of the machines, but they still have many of the originals, which are still in use. To see how it all works, Doug demonstrated several steps on a large stamping machine that cuts out specific shapes in the metal. He also showed us how they imprint intricate pictures using a hydraulic press. It was riveting, yes, pun intended, to walk around the manufacturing area and watch master craftsmen at work on various stages of production. One of the designers was soldering delicate strips together and sawing shapes out of small metal squares. Another was carving a design into a belt buckle, where its beauty and originality were already coming to life. No wonder Bohlin has a name synonymous with quality. We had an amazing time at Bohlin, hearing Doug explain about their famous history, as well as learning about their tradition of fine craftsmanship. Now don't go away. We're keeping it all in the family, as 3 generations of women make all natural lotions and potions on the next Ms. World Traveler in Dallas.